this content is for kids.
It's not for kids.
Isn't that what I said?
No, it's not for kids. If you are 13 years or younger, this is not for you. Do I have to kill somebody in order to actually make that point across?
No, man, you don't have to kill
Wait
no
a
one.
second.
Oh, no.
When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. I'd buy that for $1.
Greetings! You're watching SeptumSin versus the world. I am SeptumSin. This is Kotobukijake.
Hello.
And we're here for Horrorween. A Horrorween, a pickup spectacular. Yay!
Woo!
I've got a guest.
We have a guest.
We have a guest.
Foo's like, don't you dare pick me up, I'm sleeping.
It's the skull.
Oh, the kill switch. All right. Kill switch on
Technically, he's lit up, but you can't tell.
or off?
So I
it is
cannot
on?
fit him on the. I cannot fit him on the shelf.
Oh.
But he's here,
Mm-hmm.
so we can just occasionally have him sit here. Maybe he can sit over here and fall. Off
Yeah,
the
he
shelf.
could. He could.
Like you see, he could be here, but he'd fall down.
Yeah.
Maybe we can put him over here.
Maybe.
He's gonna fall. He's
Yeah.
gonna fall. Wait, maybe.
There
we
you
go.
There you
He's
go.
he's right behind us.
Mm-hmm.
So we got some stuff. I wanted to do an all horror / Halloween pickup theme, but I know that your pickups are scant already, asking you to go of a genre that you already have a lower amount of in your collection.
I have a surprising amount, but yes. I do have a few, very few, fresh pickups, and I have several horror titles on order that I'll probably be presenting next week. But
I actually got my full moon package because when you order that Charles Band book, $25 for 8 DVDs.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So, and you get the book, which debatable.
Still.
I don't know if I have any full moon here. None. No full moon.
Oh.
But I have some fun ones. Mine's
What
more
would
of a
be
random
this
mishmash of pickups. These are new pickups for me, and these are kind of like pulled from his collection for him. So we're going to see how this is. We're going to start with a old series brought back,
Mm-hmm.
which they did a revamp of Alone in the Dark for a little mini-series. And you also get some 3 fan-favorite episodes.
Mm-hmm.
They actually had a second season of this, which I also have, but I it's not picked up here yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never watched this one. I wasn't a fan, believe it or not, as much when this was originally coming out. I was getting older. I was in the demographic for it, but I didn't like scary stuff as a child. But if I had the love I have now for it, yeah. And I really did like it. When I did a watch through, and there's a review of it on the channel, I really did enjoy the series. I kind of liked the kind of Tales from the Crypt from a child's point of view. It was very fun. It didn't feel as campy as Goosebumps did.
Mm-hmm.
It is really legit fun. So I am looking forward to checking out this resurgence. I'm sure there's a lot of shout outs for fans. So you should check it out, and my wife approves of this, by the way.
Cool.
She doesn't approve of everything on this list, but she does for this one.
All right. So, yeah, as he said, I'm not going to have any actual new pickups today, but let me say that I did go through and try to curate a assemblage that should be very interesting.
Indeed.
And I tried very hard to pick stuff I have not presented on the channel. In most cases, have hardly even mentioned.
Yeah.
So I hope that I'm correct about that. anything that is a retread, I apologize in advance.
You know,
But-
unless you get it out like in the last couple of weeks, the likelihood that they'll probably remember if they've watched all our pickups, they'd have to have a very good memory.
Better than ours, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember all of the stuff I put out on
I
this.
don't either sometimes, but a lot of times when I stick to DVD, I can be sure that I haven't touched it because a lot of this literally came out of storage. But so the first one I'm going to do is one of the earlier horror programs that I saw. It actually is something I saw when it aired, and we have discussed it, especially in light of the fact that we discussed the movie version on Inside Movies Galore, which I famously am not a fan of. But I did like the TV version of Stephen King's The Shining.
Yeah.
So I thought that would be a fun one to start with. I read the book years ago and really, really loved the book. And this is considerably more faithful to the book. I have not seen it, I think, in its entirety since it aired. So God knows if I go back to it now, if I will feel that it is all that. Especially because last week we revisited Dracula Dead and Loving It, which is... And having revisited that, it really makes me wonder if I could take Steven Weber seriously in this one.
Well, it is coming out on Blu-ray, by the way.
Oh, very nice.
Yes, they're re-releasing Dracula Dead and Loving, which had been out of print for ages, so it's
Shoot,
kind
I
of cool.
forgot Elliot Gould and Pat Hingle were in this. Very cool.
Oh yeah.
So I am looking forward to eventually seeing this again. But like I say, it's been sitting on the shelf for ages, just waiting because it's an S. And for a while I was trying to go alphabetically, and well, now I'm just trying to get stuff watched. So
I actually am one of the few who also liked that one more than I liked the Kubrick version.
right.
Because I was a fan of the book, and that's closer. Plus, it's weird when you see the guy from Wings. When you see him at the end, it's very interesting because unlike Jack Nicholson, who you look at him and is like, oh, he's walloped that kid several times.
Yeah.
He comes out as very friendly, and you could tell he really cares about the child. So when you see the flip at the end, it really is spectacular.
Right.
So this next one is a 4K upgrade. I had this on DVD. So when it was $10, I say, okay, I will upgrade this to the 4K. And that is Beetlejuice.
Nice.
There you go. That 4K was like not coming through. I really do like the Tim Burton one. Of course, for those of you who don't know, Beetlejuice, about this couple that dies and come back, as ghosts, basically haunting their house. These new people move in, and they don't like these people who are moving in, but they can't seem to get them to go. So they've got this human exorcist, basically, Beetlejuice, to get rid of them. This was very popular back in the day. Had its own cartoon, which I do have.
Still need to
I watched that a lot as a kid.
Yeah.
And this is probably Tim Burton, one of his best movies, in my opinion. It has more heart in it than a lot of them, and is very humorous. I don't know if there's a lot of special features with this, but that's all right. It probably has at least what the DVD had, and it's kind of cool to watch it in 4K. So I'll have to watch this in 4K eventually.
I'm curious to see how they upgraded it. I am.
Beetlejuice.
I feel like I have that on DVD. Or maybe...
Yeah, I had the DVD version of
Maybe
this.
I have
and I was
Blu-ray.
like, yeah.
Actually, I think I do have Blu-ray.
Well, you see,
Yeah.
with you, it's less of a need to upgrade.
Yeah.
For me, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this next one might be worth a 4K upgrade at some point. I am almost sure I've not presented this, but I know it's been mentioned on the channel. And I think particularly he has mentioned it because I know he loves the film. But I decided to go with a mini theme of Stephen King adaptations with the movie 1408.
Ah, great film.
John Cusack, Samuel L. Jackson. And yeah, this is a very good film about a guy who's a skeptic who wants to basically prove that this hotel is not a haunting site. And well, he gets a exercise in eating crow, as it were.
And Sam Jackson's so reserved in
Oh,
that.
he is good, and they're both good in the film. And it was just a really well-made movie. I enjoyed it, and look forward to eventually seeing it again. And like I said, it might be worth a high def because the visuals were pretty nice.
Yeah, I think I still have mine on DVD, which I need to upgrade eventually. I'd love to see it on 4K. It would be kind of cool to see it.
I'm not sure what kind of an upgrade you could get with this, but who knows?
Now, this is also an upgrade, one I'm not sure that you would care for, but I saw it and I was like, I gotta do it.
Mhm.
And this is the original movie to a sequel that we covered, Moe's Second Chances. And this is the movie Evil Dead Trap. I had never heard of this movie until Mo had brought up the sequel.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not going to watch the sequel without seeing the first one. We covered both movies on Inside Movies Galore because Dave wasn't going to cover the sequel either without covering the original. The original is really good. It's about this reporter that sent this movie, this kind of snuff film, and they figure out how to backtrack and track down where that took place. And they find out that it's been a trap baited for them by this killer here. It's very interesting, very deranged. I mean, you can see the back there. I was surprised this actually got its own re-release through, who did this? Severin, I think?
That would make sense, wouldn't it?
Unearthed Classics. But I saw this and I had to get it. I mean, there was just no... MDV... Okay, MVD. Okay, that makes sense. So maybe they'll do the sequel. I liked the sequel. I think Mo liked it better after he watched it that second time. Matter of fact, I think the only one of us that didn't kind of forgive the film was Dave.
Exactly, yeah.
But
and it was even funnier because everyone kind of liked Dave's movie except him.
Yeah, I know. It's like, it's a giallo, I don't mind.
So it was more of a mystery than a proper giallo, but yeah.
Maybe that's why he didn't like it.
Yeah.
But a lot of cool stuff. Commentaries, a couple of featurettes, a lot of cool stuff.
Do you remember if I watched that one or just the sequel? I can't remember.
I don't know if you're on with both.
I didn't entirely care for the sequel, but yeah.
The easy way to go would be just to look it up online and just say, am I on
I should have it in my notes actually, but I need to get back. I've been lazy on my notes for the past few months. I need to get back to that.
So there's the sequel film right there. Yeah. Which I really wouldn't mind getting the...
I like the cover, but much better on the other one.
Yeah.
That one's got a cool looking cover. My next up is, speaking of stuff that tests the boundaries a little bit, we just briefly mentioned giallo films, which are definitely outside my wheelhouse, and those kind of almost torture porn films is kind of what that one is. I'm not a big fan generally of zombie films, although there's a lot more wiggle room there because it's not so much the genre or style as it is just what happens in it.
Wiggle.
Wiggle, yeah, exactly. Well, there was some wiggling in this one, I think. But to my mind, one of the essential zombie films, one of the best ones out there, and one of the few that I would recommend to people generally. There are a few that I'd recommend with reservations, but only maybe 4 or 5 I'd recommend generally, is the Danny Boyle classic 28 Days Later.
Oh, very intense.
Which it is quite intense, but it's also a very, very good film. And this is not a bad addition. It's actually got a few bonus features on there, which is kind of nice. This is one of... I wouldn't say necessarily one of the films that put Boyle on the map because he was already a known quantity, but it was one of the ones that really helped to define the idea that he is a director who does what he will. And sometimes he swings for the fences. And you hear a Danny Boyle film, more often than not, you hear about a movie and then you're like, wait a minute, Danny Boyle's behind this? What the hell?
It is the prequel to the famous film Space Rabies.
Yes. Well, there is 28 Weeks Later,
Yes.
which I never have seen.
It is alright.
Yeah. But this one was quite excellent. This was one of the movies that put Cillian Murphy on the map. Like, he was one of the Well, he's the star of the film, obviously, but very good one overall. You got Brendan Gleeson in there, Naomi Harris, Christopher Eccleston. Just a solid one generally.
Alright, let's see here. Okay, so let's talk about something I haven't seen but definitely fits the Halloween spirit. And that is High School DxD.
Oh,
the classics version,
nice.
which is a Funimation release. I got it last year on the sale.
Mm-hmm.
Now this one, let's see here. War between heaven and hell is raging on Earth. And a hot mess of hormonal fury is raging in Isai's pants.
Yes.
The guy is dying to get some action, which is funny since his first date ever turns into a winged monster and tries to kill him. Fortunately, ridiculously curvy redhead Rias comes to his rescue. She is the president of the Occult Research Club. The club doesn't exactly research the occult, they are the occult. She takes Isai as a more than willing slave and begins training him to use magic in battle against the fallen angels, the longtime enemies of the devils everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I've heard a lot about this, good and bad, but I've been meaning to get it. I didn't want to pay a lot for it, so I finally got all of the seasons, which you'll see them trickled out a little bit at a time. But I thought this was the season to start this out, so you guys are going to get to see at least this here as a upfront.
I still need to watch that series myself. My favorite note on that was that, as I've told you, I believe that my one particular brother had a friend at the time said that it was like the best show ever. And given my brother, I found that very amusing. Anyway, next up, we have something that I picked up on sale because it was dirt freaking cheap. And I have enjoyed it, and I actually think this is something we should eventually cover on Movies Galore. It's an anthology film I picked up from Rightstuf that's called Zoo.
Ah, very cool.
And it's got 5 chapters to it. Kazuri and Yoko is about twins. Kazuri and Yoko. 7 Rooms is about a couple of siblings who are trapped in a room with, it's like a bare rectangular room with a little stream, not a stream, trough almost that runs down one end. Hidamari no Shi, a unique man learning about life and death in a world where most of humanity has already perished. I've actually forgotten that one. So far, a boy's father is convinced the mother is dead. The mother is convinced the father is dead. The boy is the only one they can both see. Oh yeah, that one was kind of fun. And then Zoo was kind of my least favorite one because it was really dark and macabre. And it was basically about this guy who's killed someone and is photographing the decay of her. Yeah, that was creepy. The one with the twins at the beginning was great. It almost starts at the top and goes downhill. Like, for me, honestly, I would probably rank them in the order they show up on the thing. But if you don't mind watching an anthology that goes downhill as it goes, it's a pretty interesting anthology. And again, I got this dirt cheap. It was like, what, maybe $2-3 bucks. Yeah. So it's a rarity, so it's kind of cool to have, you know.
I love the cover.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So I've got a documentary.
Oh.
Can a documentary be scary? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And this one is called The Nightmare.
Oh.
Now, I actually dragged my feet on it for a long time because it was on streaming for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized, wait, they don't have it on streaming for free anymore, or for, a subscription.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, let's see if I can get it on physical. Oh, it's out of print physical. I did find a copy for a reasonable amount of money and finally purchased it. This one is about sleep paralysis.
Oh.
Which, if you've ever gone to sleep and you will kind of wake up, but you're not, and you realize you can't move your body, but you feel kind of conscious. That's what sleep paralysis is.
Oh.
Now, I've had that occasionally, and there's also a lot of potential hallucinations that can come from that as well, where you've got people seeing shadows and all of that, and it recounts a lot of that. This one actually does make you feel creeped out. It is a really good documentary. If you find it, definitely get it.
That sounds interesting.
It does. It is interesting.
Sounds like it would be creepy as hell. All right. Something that is not really creepy so much as pretty friggin' fun. Actually, this is almost hard to take this one seriously, but it does fit the theme because it's about a rather full of himself demon and his primary lieutenant, who's also I believe a succubus or some such thing, and there's an angel involved, and a bunch of weird little penguin creatures called dudes, and that of course is the anime version of the famed video game Disgaea.
Ah, yes.
Which I recently purchased the first game for Steam, and I can't wait to actually play it. But I so far have waited because at no time. But this is a really fun little show about the demon Laharl, and you've got Etna and who's the angel? It's
Flan.
Flan, yes. Etna and Flan. Etna in particular is a very fun character who's constantly picking on Flan. This is sort of the cornerstone franchise for NIS. That's sort of like their Mickey Mouse in a way. And but the anime itself is a fun little show that didn't run for very long, 12 episodes, but I've had this sitting on the shelf for a while. I've watched it a couple of times, and one of these days I'll give it another look, but I thought it'd be fun to include a full-on horror comedy on the list.
Oh, yeah. And I have beaten the first game and the second game. There are 6 Disgaeas, and there's some side games. They just are very much time sucks, and I don't have time for them now. So I actually have the first 5 in various ways.
So
But
they're mostly like pretty much a kind of
they're
old
tactics.
school, yeah. Like I was gonna say, kind of an RPG kind of tactical.
if you played Final Fantasy Tactics, it's
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
It's essentially that way. You've got like soldiers. The problem is there's a lot of grinding involved.
You have mid bosses.
Yes.
One of my favorite scenes in the anime is when they encounter a mid boss.
If you want to just play the story, get like a core group of people that you like, and just progress with them, and you can progress pretty well. But if you want a lot of the extras, you gotta grind for a long time, for hours. So, speaking of fun stuff, we've got Tales from the Hood 2. I really like the original, and they came with this one and the third one. I still haven't bought the third one because I don't want to pay $20 for it. I'll pay $10 like I did for this one. But I just can't bring myself to pay $20 for... Well, yeah. The original was pretty good. It was about these guys who were breaking into this place, and they were doing some bad things, and they ran into this kind of crypt keeper guy, like an owner of a what do they call it? A mortuary service. And he ends up telling him these tales of terror, and so I'm guessing it's similar in that way over here. So it's very interesting. I'm curious. I mean, Spike Lee executive produced it, so hey, might be fun.
Cool. All right. All right, my next one is, strictly speaking, not a horror movie so much as it is generally considered, I think, a psychological thriller. And it could be considered more of an action, police procedural, detective mystery. Really, it checks all the boxes. But at the end of the day, it is chock full of horror elements and has one of the more horrifying villains of the 90s. And no, I'm not saying that because he's played by Kevin Spacey, although. And that, of course, is David Fincher's classic film Seven.
Ah, yes.
Which, this is actually a very nice edition. It's got lots of bonus features on there. One of these days, I'm going to have to sit down and break it down with that one. This one could be worth an upgrade to a better format, but I would have to make sure to get a... Like, this is overdue for a Criterion release,
Oh,
honestly.
yeah, I think so.
This is a classic film. Like, you, of course, for those three of you unfamiliar, it's a detective procedural where Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman are pitted against a killer who's killing people according to the 7 deadly sins. And he is known as the John Doe Killer. And, of course, he eventually shows up ready and willing to help them out with their quest. And you've also got Gwyneth Paltrow in there and, a bunch of other folks. This was really kind of the one that put David Fincher on the map. Like, he'd had a couple things, but this was the one that made people stand up and go, "Whoa, who's this guy?" And I think it's still one of his best. This one and Fight Club are probably still his best films, but really damn good one. And like I said, not strictly horror, but close enough.
Indeed. Well, I've got one that is sort of a part one, a two-part documentary called Video Nasties, A Definitive Guide.
Ah.
Now, this is about like this group of films that were banned in the UK, and they called them the Video Nasties. So it's kind of a cool thing about censorship and panic, moral panic. And we all know about moral panic here in the United States because there was a similar movement in the 90s. Moral panic, video games, movies. They're causing kids to kill people. But it is kind of cool there. The first disc has like the documentary Video Nasties. The second disc has the trailer for all 39 titles that were prosecuted in the UK courts successfully. I actually have some of these. For instance, Absurd, Anthropophagus, The Beast, Cannibal Holocaust, which I do own, Cannibal Holocaust, The Driller Killer, which I own that, I Spit on Your Grave, Nightmares and a Deranged Brain, Damaged Brain, Snuff, and Zombie Flesh Eaters. Films that I know you wouldn't watch anyway.
For the most part, yeah.
So, let's see here. And then, of course, the ones that were banned but eventually acquitted. We got those trailers. Like The Bogeyman, Death Trap, not Evil Death.
Did you say The Bogeyman?
Yeah.
Huh.
B-O-G-E-Y.
All right.
Because Boogie would be B-O-O, isn't it?
Well, B-O-G-E-Y is usually how they spell Boogeyman, which you're right.
Sounds more like Bogeyman. I see him like with a trench coat and like...
And I'm thinking more bogey, well,
Let's see, The Funhouse, which I do have, Death Experiments, The Toolbox Murders, and The Zombie Creeping Flesh.
Ooh.
So, some cool stuff. I look forward to diving into this documentary. It is something that is very much on my mind.
All right. Well,
Forrest is into those as well.
You have fun with that. Actually, I'm pretty sure this movie was one of the ones that was being decried in the 90s as a horrible influence. I'm pretty sure of it. But anyway, another one that I know I have mentioned on this channel. I know we covered it when we were talking about roles that should have won an Oscar. And probably films that should have won an Oscar, I imagine. But I don't believe I've presented it. And that is Mark Romanek's 1 Hour Photo, which is the Robin Williams star, which is one of his best performances. The man was extraordinarily gifted comedian, but he also was just a gifted actor.
Oh yeah.
And there is very little funny about Cy Parrish. He is. It was a very impressive role, and he is one of the creepiest individuals you will ever meet on any film. Maybe even going toe to toe with John Doe, which is hard to do in some ways. But excellent film, worth a watch if you haven't already. I'll leave it at that since I know we have talked about it before.
Well, my final one is a Nicolas Cage film,
Oh,
and it's a not too long ago film, and that is Willy's Wonderland.
I need to see that.
I don't know why, but I saw this as like I have to have it, but I'm not paying $30.
Hmm?
But I want it on Blu-ray, but I'm not paying $30. So I waited, and I found it for under $10, and I grabbed at it because I want to see this. It's kind of that Five Nights at Freddy's, haunted, creepy animatronics. I mean, I went to Showbiz Pizza growing up. Some people went to Chuck E. Cheese's, where you got like the animatronic robots that were dancing and stuff like that. Creepy as heck, even back then. So I am looking forward to seeing this. It's on my list. I also watched the Banana Splits movie, which was really good. I enjoyed that one. A great slasher film. I heard this one isn't as good, but I'm sorry, it's Nick Cage fighting animatronic puppets. You got it.
And supposedly, from what I understand, he has like almost no dialogue. So it'd be interesting to see him do like almost purely physical, which he could do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like he's just saying, the bees.
And now for something completely different. So to end with, I'm going to show you a show that definitely fits the theme because it's about the supernatural. But it is a lighthearted, raunchy comedy from the early 90s that is also from Japan. So that can also give you an idea that certain aspects of this have not aged well, given our current sensibilities here, which may help explain why this show is ridiculously out of print. But I was fortunate enough to get it before Sentai pulled the plug, and so I figured it would be a fun one to end on. And that's a 4-volume series of GS Ghost Sweeper Mikami, which basically you've got Mikami herself is basically she's an exorcist who goes she's a ghost sweeper. She goes around basically exorcising spirits. You've got this dude whose name I forget, Tada Yokoshima. And then also there's the spirit, the ghost who's in the background of that one.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's Okinu is the spirit. And so she's sort of like a pet ghost, I guess you could say. He is part of the reason why the show hasn't aged so well. He is that uber pervert that was super common in the early 90s with anime. Mikami herself is an avaricious, money-pinching... like, if you think about shows at the time, Nabuki Tendo from Ranma would probably envy Mikami's dedication to her true craft, if you will. But whatever the case, we got volume 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think it's volume 3 that's become impossible to get, basically. And it's a total of 45 episodes. But it's fun. It's nice having a sort of a random bit of... I guess you could say early 90s anime trivia.
Actually, I think it's all out of print now. So.
Well, it's out of print, yes, but I think Sentai might still have 1 or 2 copies.
Yeah.
Well, 1 or 2 copies.
Of
you know
the
what
volumes,
I mean.
yeah.
But anyway, like I said, good time. If it ever does come back into print, I'd say give it a go if you like shows from that era. But
Discotheque might bring it back.
Yeah, they might. But this is definitely a product of its time. Let's put it that way.
Indeed.
But, yeah.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed this rundown. This creepy rundown on SeptumSin versus the world. And we will see you on the next one.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Ooh.